Hi, everyone. Hope you're having a great new year and welcome to the Digital Week. So, we would like to talk about how Gupshup is helping transform business to consumer interactions and making them personal and one on one. So, that's the topic that we wanted to cover today. And the underlying theme that we want to emphasize is the way businesses communicate with customers is completely changing. It's changed for few reasons. One is especially in emerging markets, access to a lot of the uh, technologies, a lot of innovations like mobile wallets and different methods of mobile payments, and also availability of cheaper bandwidth. And the pandemic, where people are compelled to do things remotely and get everything done. And when they are remote, the most common device that they have with them is the mobile. And so mobile engagement is becoming a big theme, and where businesses need to communicate with the customers 24/7 all the time. So it's just not working hours or any time when people want to communicate with their businesses and engage them. So that's kind of changing the way businesses need to think customer engagement, customer communication, and use new tools such as conversational engagement solutions. Um, the the data we've got from from market research and various other providers is that customers, the big shift is that before, in addition to just having regular customer communications, they want their communication with their businesses to be interactive, much more personalized, and they want answers right away because it's more instantaneous. So responsiveness is becoming important, and as you can see, over 64% expected to be interactive, 57% responsive, 91% personalized. So that's why we call ourselves as how do we do to solve the problem of one-on-one with everyone. How do you make every customer feel that they're personal, but do it in scale, en masse, by talking to various all your customers and across the life cycle of the customer journey. So the people have tried different things, right? Obviously, there's an era of websites where people, this was in the 1990s where websites were very popular. But now as the screens are becoming smaller, everybody's on mobile, and there are a lot of experiences, web experiences are not very optimal. And then we went into the era of mobile apps. That's kind of in the 2010 timeframe onwards. You have apps like some apps became super apps like Uber and WeChat. But there's only so many apps you can have on your phone because you already got the dozen or 2 dozen apps that you usually use, but you can't have 10 banking apps and 10 transportation apps and 10 travel apps. So you just have, everything cannot be done with apps. And now the choices are a lot more. So what's happening is you have to figure out how you can use, what are the apps that are already there that people use the most? What is the number one thing that you use on your mobile phone day in and day out? Text messaging, or on the popular messaging apps you interact. In some countries, it's WeChat. In some regions, like in China and others, it's Line or a few other apps in Southeast Asia. In India and LATAM and most parts of the world, it's WhatsApp. Other parts of the world, it's Facebook Messenger, Instagram. So these are the popular messaging apps that people do everything on. They message. They also, nowadays they started, getting product information and also doing things like payments because of the change in technology. So messaging app is where the customers are today, right? Be it WhatsApp or Instagram or any of the other apps. And also text messaging. There are a lot of things that you want to go on the mobile web and do that thing, but it's all in messaging apps, and messaging is where the interactions are happening with the brands. And WhatsApp itself, they have about the couple of 100 million people. Though they have 2 billion people active worldwide, but on their business, they communicate. 200 million people communicate with businesses on WhatsApp, and Instagram is a very strong brand connect. A lot of D2C brands, the people who are on Instagram, they have followers that have a very strong brand connect with that brand on Instagram, and then. These apps are becoming where most of the consumers, over 85% of the consumers, agree that interacting with the business apps helps them, interact and build personal relationships. So that's one of the reasons why we passionately believe that the next frontier in cloud communications, because cloud technology, as you know, cloud software is becoming it's one of the high growth industries, but in cloud, in the cloud messaging, in the cloud software as a service, cloud messaging and conversational engagement is going to be the future growth area where every business needs to engage with their consumers, and they need to do it one-on-one. So one-on-one with everyone is going to be a problem that everyone needs to solve. And conversational engagement platforms like Gupshup are the ones that will help you do this very efficiently. Today, we are well known in mobile markets, in mobile first emerging markets. We are in those markets with the number one conversational engagement platform with about 39,000 plus customers and about 7 billion plus messages that we send. We have a lot of the leading BFSI, fintech and financial services, online businesses, retail, consumer, entertainment, media, hospitality, and then even educational and government. So across the various sectors we have. And the other thing is in emerging markets like India and Asia and South Asia, we have over 80% of the unicorns that have used us. The reason is because digitally native people got it very early on. Even when in 2018, even before the pandemic, they were the first to adopt, and their whole business models was built on conversational engagement, be it disrupting fintech by giving access to capital to consumers, small businesses, merchants, or being enabling people to get services like food delivered, or transportation, and also commerce, online commerce. And online commerce is not limited to just the usual goods; it's limited to medical goods. Also engaging, different kinds of brands. It's just not branded goods, unbranded goods, just not tier 1 cities, but also the tier 2 and 3 cities. Buying cars, getting educated, making payments, gaming, entertainment, video, and so on and so forth. So they adopted this. They realized the power of being on mobile and being a mobile first company. They adopted it first, and hence they grew with us. And all these companies started with us, a few years ago when there were just 3-4 people in a room, but now they've grown out to be big unicorns. And hence we have 80% of the unicorns, and there's also a term called Sunicons, and we have about 75% of the Sunicorn market share too. So when they all become unicorns, they will be with us and grow with us. And the reason for that is, what we did is we just didn't do conversational journeys or conversational engagement just for post-purchase flows. That's how it started in some of the, especially emerging markets and developed markets, where it was mainly used for support, where they just wanted to see, hey, is my order received? Is the thing that I've ordered, can I track it? Where is it? Once I've ordered, my flight is delayed, or my transaction has happened, my banking transactions happened. That's where it all started. And it kind of started reducing the costs, customer support costs, and it started the post-purchase journey customer support area. But what changed in the last year is it became full funnel, where the tools, even like WhatsApp and others and Instagram, they started doing a lot more on the pre-purchase side, with addition to giving new deals and offers that lead to conversions, acquiring new customers and leads, enabling more product information. Those are some of the pre-purchase journeys on new channels like Instagram and WhatsApp. And WhatsApp also opened up their funnel and became a full funnel conversational flow, where it moved from post-purchase and support to marketing and commerce. And we also tied up with a lot of payment providers to enable easy one-click payment solutions, catalog browsing and purchases, and also onboarding. A lot of these online services want to do eKYC, be it digital banking or fintech, or even people like Ola and Swiggy and Uber. So they kind of do the onboarding and registration of the people through authentication, KYC, and registering users. So all that kind of completely changed and opened up the funnel to move from post-purchase and customer support to pre-purchase and marketing and purchase and commerce. So that kind of became much more full funnel. And the automation, all this requires automation of some of the interactions, right? Everything cannot be automated. Some of it can be automated. Some of it has to be handed over to an agent. So we have bot to agent handover. We have comprehensive dashboards. We have a unified dashboard for multiple channels. And we have a single API that supports 30 plus channels. So that's why we are able to make these conversational messaging solutions much more easy for marketing, conversational commerce, and conversational support, and drive various use cases. We'll go through some of the use cases that in these areas, but the main thing that to understand is how do we do this? So the way we do this is we have a solution that has not only the cloud communications platform that can talk to the 30 plus channels using a single API, but we also have the conversational automation layer that can do journeys across marketing, across conversational marketing, conversational commerce, and conversational support. So that's kind of, we kind of do we call it the CX, or the conversational automation layer, followed by conversational engagement solutions that are not only horizontal across marketing, commerce, and support, but also across various verticals, be it fintech or BFSI, online commerce, retail, edtech, and so on and so forth. So we have vertical solutions and industry-ready bot solutions that can be deployed in these things. A good example of a marketing use case here is, where what happens is in this case, they're coming online, they're registering with them, and they're also doing a quick KYC to understand more about the customer. And then they start shopping, and then they say, hey, what do you like to do? They've been given a bunch of options. And they also are kind of giving up where the location they are, so people could know, how to serve this customer. This example is again catalog shopping, where you're using abandoned cart alerts and doing some payments, shopping cart and payments. We enable that. So this is again the same example. And this is another example where we kind of are doing end-to-end commerce for a brand. This is a brand in Australia, where they come up and they look at the catalog of all the products that they offer. It's more product discovery, product information. And then they say, okay, now I'd like to add this to the cart and actually buy it and see how to use it. So it's an end-to-end kind of commerce journey. The other example that people use cases that people use is in support is you have the initial response given by a bot, right? Hey, this is a quick answer to your question. And they give you a dynamic help menu with buttons and list messages where you can say, okay, these are the areas that I need help with, and do some simple navigation with choice, in this case, by clicking with the easy buttons that actually fold a lot of these tasks into a simple one-click button. And then if they cannot be answered, we have a bot to agent handover that gives you to a live agent who can handle the more complex queries. So this is how we kind of help across marketing, support, and commerce plays for various verticals. Additionally, what we did is we've also acquired RCS technology that is helping us drive RCS adoption, not only across Africa, but also in India. We are one of the biggest RCS players in Asia. We do about 1 billion RCS messages with various brands in India and rest of Asia. But we're also working with some operators in Africa, in Nigeria, especially to drive universal RCS with MTN and Airtel and Nine Systems are some of the operators that we're working with there. And we are kind of creating a global, RCS, enabling various operators and business providers to messaging providers to do RCS message delivery across the world. So what this does is that with this suite of technologies, with this most comprehensive conversational engagement solution product suite that you have, what you can do, what Gupshup has enabled various customers to do is every customer touch point across the customer journey, be it pre-purchase for product discovery or acquiring new leads or offers, or doing some conversions, or creating offers to lead to conversions, or through catalog browsing and purchases, and also understanding digital banking or easy one-click payments, all the way up to support, various areas of support. You can transform those conversational experiences that they have. Every touch point can be transformed into a very pleasant, interactive, personalized, targeted conversational experiences on the most popular messaging apps that these consumers use. And they also are creating new digital storefronts, because WhatsApp came up with a multi-product catalog. Instagram also has a carousel. where you can offer all these, where people can browse, click on these products that they're interested in, get personalized information. And even in Instagram, we have use cases where people want to get an example of a brand that's using it. They want to get a particular shade. They give all their questions and they said, you don't have to look to 40 shades of foundation. You just say, hey, these are the 2 ones that are most useful to you. And then it makes it much more targeted and personalized. And then they can easily go ahead and make the purchase, or at least they'll come back and they get the reminder from an abandoned cart. They can go and do the purchase. So all the goal is to go where your customers are, make things personalized, interactive, and engaging, and timely and contextual. And that can be done only by using conversational engagement platforms and solutions and product suites like the ones we offer. So you have to go where your customers are and build chatbots and messaging apps. And Gupshup is very well positioned to do that. We are well capitalized. In 2021 alone, we raised about 340 million to accelerate our conversational engagement vision. Also, not only do we have the leadership position and the talent, but we're going to do more by filling up more, adding more technologies to continue our leadership and dominant position in conversational engagement solutions by adding the relevant technologies in various geographies and the right set of people to continue delivering you the cutting edge solutions that you need for conversational engagement. And an example, a case in point, is we recently acquired Nolarity, which is a leader in AI-powered voice solutions, and that continues to strengthen our conversation engagement portfolio, and we'll continue to do more. So hope this session was very useful, and we are very excited about this new space, which will completely change the way you engage your consumers and be able to have personalized conversations one-on-one and do it in scale with everyone. And hope we helped educate you in this emerging space and tell you a little bit about how Gupshup can help you achieve this journey and improve your ROI and customer engagement and retention rate, and also grow your business. Thank you. Hope you have a great conference.
Good day, everyone. My name is Kim Deloria, and I'm going to talk to you about testing artificial intelligence. What are the practical considerations that we consider when we want to test an AI system? First, to start off, introductions. I'm the head of Point West Testing Center of Excellence, and I have close to 2 decades of experience in the area of testing and test automation. And my work has taken me to several countries in North America and parts of Southeast Asia. And right now I'm going to talk to you about testing AI. So as introduction to my talk, I would like you to take a look at the picture on the screen. As you can see, there is that's Benedict Cumberbatch, and the other guy is actually Alan Turing, who was famous in World War II for cracking the German code which helped give the Allies advantage during the war. Now, Alan Turing, sometime in the 1950s, developed what we call the Turing test. It's a test for intelligence in computers, which requires that if a human would encounter this AI system and interacted with it, it would be unable to distinguish the machine from another human being. So now this test has, whether fortunately or unfortunately, no AI system has successfully passed the Turing test. But it's one of the more famous, if not the most famous, tests for AI systems out there. And right now, with the advent of AI systems, that's not the only test that needs to be done on artificial intelligence systems. So we want to take a look at other types of testing that we need to do for AI systems. So the question is asked: why do we need to test AI systems? What's the problem with AI to begin with? Well, artificial intelligence, or AI, has captured the imagination of the world and has already become ubiquitous in software applications. So this has far-reaching implications in terms of ensuring quality. So in order for people to fully appreciate the benefits of artificial intelligence, it stands to reason that artificial intelligence should meet expectations. And therein lies the rub. Because AI systems learn, what guarantees do we have, or what guarantees do organizations have, or any group that does testing, when they test would exactly be what users would expect. So okay, I know Hollywood has had a big role in the public perception of an AI menace. We've heard of, I'm pretty sure you've watched the Terminator series. Then there's the Matrix series, and quite recently there's this show, the Westworld, of AI systems gone awry. So Hollywood may have had a hand in AI systems getting that nasty reputation, but what about the real world? Are there any real world examples of AI systems gone awry which would justify a certain perspective in terms of doing testing? Well, we have a Target example. No pun intended on the Target shopping stores. So Target has mastered the art of data mining. It was able to analyze the shopping patterns of its customers. So they found out that lots of people bought lotion, but they noticed that after cross-referencing the data, that women from the baby registry were buying large quantities of unscented lotion around the beginning of the second trimester. And another analyst noted that sometime in the first 20 weeks, pregnant women loaded up on certain types of vitamin supplements. And as they crawled through their data, probably through using market basket analysis, um, they were able to identify 25 products that, when analyzed together, would give them what they call a pregnancy prediction score. So the higher the score, the higher the probability that someone is pregnant. So somebody from marketing thought that it would be a good idea to actually send targeted ads to these people. I mean, to the expectant women. So with very high pregnancy scores, and so they did. So you would think that they probably, well, to be honest, I think they probably had their fair share of revenue boost based on these targeted ads, but it had some unintended consequences. And one of these consequences was one day, an angry man went into a Target store and demanded to talk to the manager. And apparently, he had a daughter who was still in high school, and the daughter had been receiving personalized mail from Target containing advertisements specific to for babies, maternity clothing, nursery furniture, and um, complete with infant toys. So the manager didn't know the man, had no idea what the man was talking about and why he was so angry. And but he apologized for Target nonetheless. So and as any good manager would do, a few days later he followed up again to apologize and ask how the customer was. And then so he asked for the man, but to his surprise, when the man talked to the manager, this man apologized profusely, saying that there were some things going on in his household of which he was not aware about. The daughter was indeed pregnant. So, um, so you have a situation where an algorithm was able to predict that someone is pregnant um, before it became obvious. So it's a creepy feeling to know that a certain machine learning algorithm can know about your status even before you can. So while in this situation, the AI did, or the AI algorithm did what it was supposed to do, and the way it was, I mean, it made the prediction properly. However, this also exposes the fact that there are other dimensions of artificial intelligence that need to be evaluated. So now the World Quality Report publishes certain trends in testing. And for the latest edition in 2020-2021, they made a finding that the testing of AI systems remains at low maturity. So in essence, what it is that there's no set of best practices out there in testing AI. So it is still emerging as a requirement, and it's at present there's really no widely accepted or coherent guideline or solution for testing, and organizations are formulating their own strategies and various approaches. So, however, irrespective of whatever these strategies are or challenges, the World Quality Report was quick to point out that as AI is slowly going into mainstream and is becoming far too ubiquitous, there needs to be there needs to be a strategy that needs to be developed around it. So it is important to note that while no standard best practices exist, it is imperative that strategies be developed in testing artificial intelligence. So this talk is aimed at practical considerations when testing artificial intelligence, so that you, as an organization, can craft your own strategies based on your specific situations. But so let's take a look at what's really the problem with AI in terms of comparing it with traditional systems. You see, in traditional systems, there is a set test basis. This is not to say that AI systems don't have a set test basis, but it's just that in traditional systems, you have requirements and user stories. And when you do requirements analysis or you do analysis on your specific user stories, these form the basis of your test scenarios and your test cases. And you pretty much know, upon analysis of this user stories and requirements, what the expected results are going to be. However, for AI systems, it learns from the data sets that it feeds into. So while there is a reasonable expectation of what the outcome will be, this outcome still remains uncertain. So these uncertainties give rise to the practical considerations that need to be addressed when testing AI systems. So what are these considerations? First, these considerations can be divided into two categories: functional and non-functional. Now, these considerations are by no means exhaustive. I'm just pointing out the obvious ones. So for functional, in data sets, AI systems are trained using data. So the data set could be, and when you're analyzing data sets, there is such a thing that data scientists call as biased data sets, which can give rise to what we call algorithmic bias. So I think the most common example of this would be in terms of artificial intelligence systems on CCTVs, where what is apparently used for to recognize certain to identify if someone could be pointed out as a potential criminal or not. Because of what data scientists call as having a biased data set, there is a certain bias to people of color in terms of them being identified as criminals or not. So organizations need to work out on cleaning these data sets, ensuring that the data sets are unbiased and that the resulting learnings from the trained data set do not result in let's say in certain false positives, which could turn out to be really embarrassing. And then the machine learning method. So from logistic regression to the choice of whether to choose artificial neural networks or random forests. So which machine learning methods or combinations give the best results? So considerations for testing AI. And then also the acceptance criteria. You see, usually the end result of a trained model is that it establishes the probability of event occurring. So for example, the prediction of whether it rained or did not rain based on data sets of let's say employee behavior, about how they go into the office. So you can establish, based on certain set of data, you can establish the probability cutoff at, let's say, 70%. Let's say if the data set is, let's say, based on this set, if all data combinations that give, let's say, 70% as class or 80%, this is where we say that the machine already makes a prediction. So where you draw the delineation can actually impact the way that the machine was going to make that, or the AI model is going to make a prediction. So this needs to be established beforehand, and the testing team or the QA team can provide inputs based on their evaluation of how the AI system behaves as to what the appropriate acceptance criteria would be. Next, we go to the non-functional considerations. When testing AI, it's important that you also consider its ethical considerations. So, for example, is it ethical, for example, to let's say have an AI algorithm determine parole eligibility of prisoners? So a lot of people might have reservations over machines or systems evaluating whether they should go free or not. So what are the ethical considerations? Is it appropriate or not? So these things need to have a hard and serious look before being operationalized. And then there are also legal considerations. So personal data is used, a lot of personal data is used sometimes in the training of artificial intelligence systems. So what are the limitations? Do we anonymize the names? Do we anonymize, let's say, certain personal identifiable information like addresses, even even gender? So those things. What are the limitations? And again, it may be tackled on a case-to-case basis. There may be some workarounds as to the PII, but then it is what's important to note is that there are ramifications on the data being used, and how big of an impact will this have in your testing? And then also performance considerations. So how big of a data set do we want to process, and how fast do we want to process it? Do we want our AI system to continuously learn from the data that is being fed, or would the training happen at a separate time? So it's not real time. It's not real time learning. So again, things to consider before creating your test scenarios or test cases. So this is how we take a look at testing traditional systems. So in traditional systems, we do integration testing to see how the modules interact with the other modules. And then we also do system testing, functional testing, and regression testing to see if the whole system works as intended. So the paradigm for this testing is that there is a human being interacting with the system, and the functional testing, the functional testing test cases are geared towards that, a person interacting with the software system that's being developed. Now, contrast that with how we would approach testing an artificial intelligence system. So let's take a look. So in this one, essentially, a machine replaces the human. So a software system would still be that, a software system, except that it would have an AI system integrated, which quote unquote would replace the human. So how would we test an AI system? So in this slide, the human interaction obviously has been replaced with an AI model. So human judgments are now left with the AI. So in this process, there are new considerations and thus additional test scenarios or wider test coverage. First, we need to test how the AI interacts with the external software modules. So I call this the integration testing with AI. Next is the next consideration when doing test scenarios is that the AI model needs to have its own specific type of testing. So this is ensuring that, and among these is that ensuring that the correct data sets were fed into the AI model, ensuring that algorithmic bias is avoided or minimized, and then determining if the appropriate acceptance criteria has been chosen. So this is AI specific testing. And then finally, when doing end-to-end testing, the behavior of the AI is taken into consideration when crafting the test cases. So this means that yes, we will still be writing test cases, however, with the added perspective of the expected AI behavior, and also other AI test scenarios that need to be added to ascertain that the AI is behaving correctly as expected, and also to rewrite expectations as appropriate after evaluating the AI behavior. So in a nutshell, what is it that we will still be doing pretty much like the way that we do it, except that there's added test coverage and there's an added test perspective, added perspective when writing your test cases. So what's next when it comes to, let's say, uh, as an organization, you're developing applications with AI baked in. So what should your next steps be, or what are your action items? First is that you need to have a strategy, and you need to ask is number one is, um, based on the considerations that I mentioned earlier, functional, functional, and non-functional, what are some of these non-negotiables that need to be addressed or need to be added into the testing that you're already doing? So, for example, you may not have taken into consideration the legal implications of training your data sets. So um, these things, they need to be added in your test strategy and test planning. And then also the performance considerations. You're not sure exactly what the response times or how fast the AI is going to interact with your already existing systems. So you need to establish baselines. And then also for test engineers to be fully effective, because a lot of things when doing when testing for artificial intelligence is knowledge on machine learning systems and machine learning algorithms. Obviously, test engineers need to upskill and learn new skills. And finally, as the World Quality Report has suggested, that the testing of AI systems has not yet achieved a certain maturity level, organizations should focus on innovations and taking their experience in terms of testing AI as a opportunity to contribute to global innovation in terms of testing. So as an organization, as you refine your testing processes specific to AI, you may have developed a certain set of best practices which work for your organization, which can contribute greatly to the body of testing worldwide. So it is important that companies focus on these newer trends on innovation, and then slowly start to develop and document it so that it would benefit the rest of the industry. So with that, I would like to thank you. And if you have any questions at all, if you want to know more about how to test artificial intelligence and testing in general, I would direct you to the email address on the slide and on the website for further inquiries. Thank you once again. I'm Kim Deloria, and thank you for listening.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and talk with you in the next few minutes about shared mobility in a post-corona era, or in a corona era. So, in the next few minutes, I'll talk to you about the impact that COVID-19 has on mobility, about Enroute, the startup I co-founded here in Israel, and how we can do business if that's something which is relevant for you. So first of all, it's a pleasure. I'm Aviv Frenkel. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Enroute. Enroute is a tech startup which is based in the heart of Startup Nation, in the heart of Tel Aviv, Israel. We're a team of very well-experienced tech and media professionals. I myself come from media. I have an experience of more than 20 years in national TV and radio in Israel. My last position was senior tech and automotive correspondent for Channel 10 in Israel, which is one of the two biggest national TV channels, where I was co-creator of TV formats, a TV presenter, and a journalist. So let's talk about mobility in a post-COVID era. What was the impact? First of all, we saw a dramatic decline in ridership and service, sometimes even 90% decline. Second of all, employee layoffs across the board in mass transit, in ride-hailing, in all of the ecosystem. And there's also an increased sanitary measures that needed to be implemented in various places. This has a lot of effect on our industry because we need to regain trust and social distancing, regain trust and demand by providing medically safe rides. Commuters will potentially be on their phones as they're likely to want to speak, don't want to speak to strangers for fear of catching the virus. And also, it's a potential for new digital experience, and that could intrigue the commuters. So this is a potential to prevent overcrowding during peak commute times. That's how data and connectivity can help us reduce hygienic problems of public transport and also improve the overall experience. And for the experience, that's where we come in. So we want to increase the value of public and private partnerships, and that's exactly what we're building. So we started our company with this idea, with this vision, with this future of self-driving cars. The fact that in a few years people will get into the car, say the address, and the car will start driving by itself. And for the next 20, 30, 40 minutes, people will be captive audience in mobility, because the self-driving car revolution will create a new currency, and this currency is free time, right? Morgan Stanley forecast that this time stands for 600 billion hours, free for people to do lots of things. But we argue that already today, millions and millions of people are using self-driving cars that look like this. Because when you take a train, a bus, a taxi, or a ride-hailing car, you are already in a self-driving car with a driver. You have free time, you're captive audience, and the potential is huge, because what do people do when they have free time and they're in mobility? Well, they shop. Apparently in the UK, 20% of all online shopping occurs every morning between 7 and 9 a.m. when people take a train, a bus, a taxi, or a ride-hailing car. That's more than $28 billion each year, only in the UK, only between 7 and 9 a.m., only in mobility, and the numbers are staggering. And this is what we're bringing. We have developed an SDK. It's a personalized interaction platform that enables mobility companies and passengers to shape the new paradigm of modern travel. So one thing we do with our SDK is to understand what is the context of the ride, where do people travel, when do they travel, with whom, and on the other hand, we're studying people over time to give them more than getting them from point A to point B, because this is something that our mobility partners do very well. And if we have this equation and we add businesses, we can do something a bit crazy, and that is allowing people to ride for free. So how do they ride for free? Well, they actually shop, okay, from a variety of hundreds of retailers we have on our partner network. They can earn points or miles or get cashback and ultimately ride for free. So this is the shopping platform. This is how it looks like. Imagine a ride start, and through the mobility app people are using to order the ride or to pay the ride, they get a notification. Listen, you have 20 minutes until you arrive. Why don't you use your free time? And with every product you buy, with a variety of hundreds of retailers, you decrease the amount you have to pay on your next ride until you get a free ride. We are using ranking and personalization. There's lots of heavy lifting in terms of technology and product to make it as seamless as possible and as personalized as possible. We're using extremely smart algorithms to segmentize products and shops, to clusterize the users, and to connect people to the context of the ride, because the next thing that we will be launching is also connecting people to locations. Like, let's take this gentleman. He's traveling back home. He wants to buy a cake for his kids. So we're building our product to be able to tap into inventory systems in real time in locations along the route or next to the destination for this gentleman to click and collect. And actually, this is an even more sustainable way to shop, because when people click and collect, they don't take a special ride to a shop. They don't ask for a delivery if they're ordering something online, and they usually do not return stuff. I don't know if you know, but in online shopping, around 30% of whatever people are buying, they return. And that's something which is very painful for these actors, the retailers. And we have hundreds of retailers on our platform, companies such as Nike and eBay and ASOS and Best Buy and many, many more. And the way it works is that we have direct deals or deals with affiliate networks. And for every purchase passengers are making on our platform, we get a commission from the retailer, and that is converted into free rides. So mobility companies today need to diversify their revenue streams because revenues are down, ridership is down. Third-party services will play a key role in reshaping mobility, and we're connecting mobility companies and retailers or other third-party services, and users earn ride credits through in-app purchases, and that can increase ridership. So how can we help solve COVID's repercussions? First of all, our unique transport experience can increase ridership because we increase the stickiness effect to your service. Riders will also have more time to scroll through their phones due to social distancing. That's how it works. Riders can shop remotely, which reduces the risk of spread, and users can save money by eventually obtaining free rides. It's a gamified experience. So a bit more than a year ago, we started working with our first mobility company. The first mobility company we are working with is Deutsche Bahn, the national rail company of Germany. We were part of leading mobility programs in Silicon Valley, in Europe, and in Asia. And we are launching now in the midst of COVID-19 in 2 new territories. First of all, in Singapore with ComfortDelGro. ComfortDelGro is one of the leading mobility companies in Singapore. They're a very popular taxi app. They also operate 60% of bus lines and 40% of metro lines. They're also very active throughout the APAC market and also in Europe. And as we speak, we already launched another very interesting collaboration in Madrid with Metro de Madrid, which is the biggest urban transportation company in Spain. Also in collaboration with Banco Santander, which is one of the biggest banks in Europe. We also received a very prestigious grant from the European Union, the Horizon 2020 grant. This is basically because we can help make more sustainable shopping with our click and collect and also help revive city centers. So I'll show you a short clip of our collaboration in Germany. Here it goes.
Next ride is on us. Thanks for shopping.
So this started as a very interesting pilot. Now we are expanding it. So what's in it for mobility companies? First of all, we can help create a new revenue stream, especially now when revenues are down. We can create this stickiness effect, enhance growth through loyalty. It's a new experience for users, and basically we can help also mobility companies know passengers better through valuable data. Imagine a train company that we can tell that in a certain line, passengers from a specific demographic like to buy sports gear, they can go with this data and let's say discuss with Nike or Adidas, why don't you advertise on our trains or open shops in the train stations that we own? So it's a very monetizable data, and this is another thing we're giving. Here is what Deutsche Bahn has to say about us.
I was asking myself, is that possible in only 3 months to put that great idea into action? Until the day before the launch, I was still asking me that question, and then on the day of the launch, it was so great that it worked.
You take a train ride. If you shop online, Urban Outfitters, ASOS, you get the next ride for free.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah?
It is awesome.
Working with En route was very successful. We had a very promising idea that turned out to be feasible, and we got very interesting and positive customer feedback.
We had an amazing experience working with Deutsche Bahn. I mean, the level of professionalism on the side of Deutsche Bahn, either from DB Regio and from the DB Mindbox team, was amazing.
Well, if we could offer to our customers, and that is 7 million people a day, if we could offer to them ride and commute for free every day, it would be an extremely boosting slogan. And En route is showing us how this idea can be put into action.
Yeah. So why working with En route? First of all, the potential. We're at the forefront of modern shopping, and we'll tap into a new customer segment who has never had a shopping experience similar to ours. Second of all, we're customer oriented. Our platform is straightforward and user friendly, and we allow customers to benefit from our personalized platform. And who doesn't love shopping and obtaining free rides? And third, innovation. We help integrate shopping and transportation to allow customers to shop as they ride and simultaneously earn points. Our data platforms allow us to tailor our product selections to individual mobility companies and individual customers. So this is my address, aviv@enroute.tech. I'd love to be able to speak with you if you're a mobility company and you want to speak with us and increase revenues and increase growth. I'm here, so join the ride because we are already en route.
Do you know that 70% to 80% of startups fail within the first 5 years? Do you know that one major reason is lack of marketing, effective marketing strategies? So what's the fuss about marketing, and why is it so important that it can help scale up a business or bring down a business? Well, if you're watching me now, then you're in the right place, because in this session, I'm going to take us through the digital marketing strategy, why marketing is important, the move from digital marketing, from normal marketing to digital marketing, and where growth hacking come in all this. How can a startup effectively use growth hacking to scale up their business and get great returns for little resources? Hi, my name is Owigase Mary. I'm a digital marketing consultant and also the head of marketing for Pixel Technologies. I'll be taking you on this journey, so stay with me. So let's jump right ahead. Digital marketing for startups. So what are we going to look at today? So we're going to look at the move from traditional to digital marketing. Going to look at marketing era, the different stages of marketing era, and then we're going to answer the evergreen question: why digital marketing? Why is it important? Why should it be held in highest esteem in a business or any organization. Then we're going to look at the height of it all, digital innovation and growth. Then we're going to enter into the growth hacking, creating a growth hacking mindset and how to develop a growth hacking strategy. So move from digital traditional marketing to digital marketing. So what is traditional marketing? What is digital marketing and why are they different? Well, traditional marketing, as its name implies, is marketing through traditional means, through non-digital means, through billboard, through newspaper, through flyers, posters, and every non-digital means, every old way of marketing and trying to get your product and your brand in front of users. So that's basically traditional marketing. What is digital marketing? Digital marketing is simply the use of digital means and channel to market your product. So that includes digital billboard, internet, online marketing, and everything that has to do with reaching thousands of persons through digital means. Let's look at the marketing era. We have four types of marketing era, and why do they relate to us? Well, marketing started a long time ago, and it started from the production era, the product era, the ad sell, down to the what we call the marketing era in its core. This four era was majorly showed the transition from product to the market. So initially the focus was on product, delivering the right kind of product that they feel people will be interested in, and then dishing out this product in mass or in high quality, and people will begin to buy. But with the advancement of technology and with the availability of choice, the target market became very difficult to please. So they had to so marketers and product team had to sit back and actually think deeply on the target market and what they actually want, and started producing and developing product that the target market actually wants than what they think the target market should be. So that's the era we're in. We're not just in an era where you sit in a cage and you're thinking of a product to build that you feel will be the next phase, but you're actually interacting with the target market, your potential market. You're interacting with them, you're hearing the problems, and you're creating out solution to help solve the problem. So that's basically the marketing era. So why digital marketing? Well, me first of all, digital marketing is cost effective. For platform like social media ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Google ads, you can carry out daily ads as low as $1 and still reach a good number of persons. So it's really cost effective than just pouring out 1 million naira on a billboard. You can actually utilize scarce marketing resources with digital marketing and actually get the best out of it. Second is data backed. So you're getting your data in real time, you're seeing the results, you're seeing everything, and you're knowing the potential result for investing before you actually invest. It can be easily measured. Most ads you see on the billboard cannot be effectively measured because you don't know the attribution model of when a user saw the billboard to when they actually purchase. But with digital marketing, you can see the attribution model for their first interaction with the brand to their final or their conversion process. So you can literally see a customer's journey through your brand online, and it can be optimized during campaign. I ran several ad campaign that we had to stop, pause, either stop or pause the campaign and optimize the campaign because we realized that the campaign was not producing the results that we want. So you have the option to stop, optimize, iterate, and get the best results. Like I've said before, results are seen in real time, and you can use digital marketing, social media, email marketing to build a close relationship with your target market. That's one effective marketing strategy, I must say, because the ability to know the desires of your target market, the ability to build a relationship, especially if you don't have a wide market range and you're a local business, so you can build a relationship and get to actually know their deepest desires, their goal, and relate it into delivering an amazing service experience for your target market. Then you can learn more about customer behavior. You can literally see what they do on your site, see how they react to some changes in your site, see how they react to new products, see how they react to pricing, psychology, and you can learn a lot about your customer through digital marketing. So digital marketing in itself has amazing opportunities, it has amazing potential. But one mistake I need to correct, I see a lot of brand moving from traditional marketing to digital marketing and then neglecting traditional marketing. The best aspect of marketing for a company, for a startup, is the combination of traditional marketing and digital marketing. You don't use one and leave the other one. You don't focus on traditional marketing and then leave digital marketing, and you don't focus on digital marketing and leave traditional marketing. The best form of marketing has a mix of traditional marketing and digital marketing. That's just it. So let's go get to the core. How do you take your business online? Taking your business online is not about channels. There are a lot of channels to use. There are a lot of digital marketing channels, a lot of social media platform, but it's about the digital innovation mindset. When you're innovative in your thinking and in your business model, you can easily take your business online. You can easily find the best suits for your business. You can easily navigate into the digital world without feeling a bit overwhelmed with everything. So taking your business online has to do with digital innovative mindset. So what is digital innovation? Well, at its core, digital innovation is the use of digital technologies and applications to improve existing business processes, workforce efficiency, to enhance customer service and launch new products or business model. So you're just what simply means is you're utilizing digital technologies, digital application to actually make your business better, to actually give out better and quality service to your customer and actually get that customer satisfaction rate that you actually want. So why is digital innovation important? Well, first of all, it's important because your customers and competitors are innovating. That's simple. If you're not where your customers are, they will likely go after your competitors, and if your competitors get ahead of you, you might likely run out of business. So you need to make sure on top of the trends. You need to make sure you're on top of your game when it comes to digital innovation, and you need to make sure that your business models are aligned and are all geared towards providing the most effective service to your customers. So that's just why it's important. So what do you actually innovate on? Well, you innovate on communication, you innovate on your customer service, you innovate on your customer relationship management, you innovate on the processes, you innovate on product development, the prices, community management, payment platform, distribution of products and services, advertising, and product. You need to innovate on every core of your business to make sure that it actually aligns with what's trending and with the current needs of your customer. So that's basically it. You make sure you innovate to align with the current needs of your customer. So how do you achieve digital innovation when we now know, okay, digital innovation is very important, but how can you do that for your company? Well, I laid out from 4 ways to do that. First of all, you need to carry out competitors analysis. So you need to look at what your competitors are doing, what's working for them, and what's not working for them. You carry out competitors analysis, see where they are innovating on, and see if you can also innovate on those processes, see if you can also innovate on those technology if you have the ability. Then which will lead me to the second, which is carry out a SWOT analysis on your business and indicate where tech can make it better. This is very important. So once you've analyzed your competitors and you've seen what's working and what's not working, you've seen where they are gaining advantage, you look inwards, you look at carry out a SWOT analysis which comprises your strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Look inwards, look what if you have the ability or if you can assess the opportunity to innovate even better than your competitors. You carry out a SWOT analysis and you identify where tech can make your company and your brand better, and you start working towards it. Then you analyze your available resources and the digital options available for your industry. All things are good. A lot of digital innovation worldwide, but there are some specific innovation that is good for your own industry. So you need to actually identify that and start working with it. Next, to carry out the market survey. This is very important because most startups don't communicate with their customer. They just feel that they should know. Meanwhile, you don't have to know. It's okay to talk to your customer and ask them, how can we make life better for you? How can we serve you better? Carry out market surveys. Hear from the horse's mouth how they want to be service, how they want to receive your product, how they want to be given the solution you're offering. Carry out the market survey and analyze the survey and see the best strategy where you can fit in. So how do you reach and attract your target market? Basically, it's 3 things: marketing of authenticity, consistency, and storytelling. One major way to scale up and to reach your market is being consistent with your promise. So you're not necessarily being authentic with who you are, but you're actually being authentic with what you're promising. So your USP, your unique selling proposition, you should be true to that. If you're promising you give them A, make sure you're actually working to give them A. If you're promising that you will give them a particular solution, make sure you're doing it and make sure you're consistent with telling them that you want to give them this. So being authentic is talking about the promise you made to the customer and how you want to solve the promise. So how do you reach? Once you're consistent with being authentic and you keep on telling the story of your brand in an authentic way, you attract your target market towards your brand. Consistency in your authenticity will bring about the right target market. So remember, being consistent with who your brand is and the promises that your brand will make will attract the right market to you. So just like Apple brand, they'll be consistent in the message they appreciate, they'll be consistent in the luxury mindset they're trying to give out, and they are attracting the kind of market that they want for their product. So that's just it. So let's get right into the last section, that's growth hacking mindset. So what exactly is growth hacking and how can we get that mindset into our business? Well, according to Sean, growth hacking is about running smart experiments to drive growth within your business. Marketing is about experimentation to move growth as well. So what growth hacking actually is majorly focused on testing, experimenting, and iterating. It helps you achieve more business results for less business resources. That's basically what it is. It helps. Growth hacking is thinking and bringing out ways to actually bring in more business results, bring in more ROI for less resources. So what are the growth marketing realities and misconception? I know you've probably heard of growth hacking before and a lot of misconceptions going on. So I just want to clear the air before we dive into how to actually achieve growth marketing. So the one misconception is growth hacking is going after the crowd, getting a lot of person in, but it's not actually true. Growth hacking is looking for the early adopters and making them brand advocates. So you are causing an inbuilt virality in the app and also in your early adopters. So second misconception is all about the big launch. A lot of persons feel that once you launch big, once you've launched to 1 million persons, you will actually get the influx of customer downloads or user acquisition that you're actually looking for. But that's not necessarily the case because big launch does not mean big start. Third misconception: great ideas bring people. So what that means is once you develop a mind-blowing product, people will automatically come to the product without having to market. Next misconception is publish through the New York Times. Not necessarily do you need to publish through the New York Times, but you need to find the New York Times of your scene. So don't just go for big brands because of vanity metrics, but find the big brands or the micro influencers that your target market really care about and then go after them. So next misconception: marketing costs much. But actually effective marketing and growth hacking does not cost much. You work with limited resources. You just work smart and you're scientific about everything. You're scientific about the campaigns you run. You're scientific about the channels to use, and you're scientific about pretty much everything. Next misconception: build a big brand and people will come. You don't need a big brand. You just need to have a passionate brand that people love, your early adopters love, and are willing to sing your story. So next misconception: push a product till people start buying. So that's one misconception. You don't force your product into the lives of people or your target market. You just end up with wasted marketing resources. You test, optimize, iterate till you achieve product market fit. So you get a product that your target market really loves and really want to adopt or utilize in their life. So how do you develop growth strategies for your startup? Analyze the current data and bring out null hypotheses, bring out ideas from it, and test those ideas, test your hypotheses, carry out experiments to see the best fit. You iterate from the results of the experiment and then you experiment again. You keep on the cycle till you achieve the best and the most cost effective strategy for your marketing work. So thank you very much for listening to me and following me on that short journey. Let me know if you have questions or clarification. Like I said in the beginning, my name is Owigosem Mary. I'm a digital marketing consultant and head of marketing for Pixel Technologies. So you can follow me on LinkedIn at Owigose Mary Kate. And thank you very much.
Hello, and thank you for coming to my talk this session. I appreciate you being here, and hopefully what I share with you today will be helpful for you going forward. So I will just get started right away. This is new product launch, digital and e-commerce. Emphasis here heavily. My name is Pam Maurice. My LinkedIn is here. If you want to find me, I'll share this again at the end quickly in case you want to look me up with for any questions or feedback. So backstory here, my suggestions are dependent on product type and organizational infrastructure. Obviously, there's going to be lots of different products, services, size of teams. They're all going to factor into a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today. So what I'm providing here today are examples of my process when I was building a digital marketing department at an employer that's in the consumer goods space. So these are my direct examples in that particular instance. My goal was to change the process going forward so that I didn't have so much work to do going backwards because of all the product already launched. There was so much missing information that I needed in order to take out my, execute my digital marketing initiative. So going forward, at least I thought for new products, I will have all that information up front and it'll just eventually get more and more efficient, which is also something I want to bring up, taking the time to do more before, during, and after launches, especially before launches, obviously, will be more efficient over time. Yes, it's more work at the beginning, but you'll be thanking yourself later. Also, rushing your launches without the proper planning could, lead to poor sales and lost sales, right? So you want the results to be as good for you and your company as possible. So take the time and it'll get more efficient, I promise. So agenda, planning, tips to consider. I'm going to be having a lot of different tips for you. Hopefully most of them are something you could take away and use tomorrow. Definitely going forward and building a new process. Product info, all the details are needed. This can really be where it's endless in terms of it depends. It's going to depend a lot on the product, the category, and the teams. So content strategy, all the different intelligence and research you can do to help develop your strategy. Content, there's so many different pieces of content that you can gather. So I'll touch on several of those. Also for your partners. So you may be selling direct just for yourself, or you may have a third-party retailer who's selling your products online. So they're going to have, rules and guidelines that you're going to have to follow for them. And you don't want to duplicate things if you don't have to, right? Because that's not efficient. So having that knowledge up front will help you also. Pre-launch. Yes, you can also do some pre-launch work. You can, if it's especially a hot new, sexy product, maybe you want to get some teaser information out there, promotional items out there to get people really excited for when your product does launch. And always refine, track, update, improve, continuous improvement, right? We know that saying. So you can always make things better. So think about that as you continue to build. And I will say, think about that quite a few times today too. Planning, so e-commerce, your website, because my website, for example, didn't sell direct to consumer. So e-commerce, website, social media, digital ad copy, and even traditional marketing as well. Sell sheets, PowerPoints, posters, in-store stickers, packaging, if your item is sold in a store. All of that can use the same content. And it's good to repurpose it because it's consistent messaging, right? That's also very important. So in preparation, think in advance all the needs you'll have for launching your product. From a digital standpoint is what I'm saying here, but I want to include traditional as well. Start somewhere and build. You can always add, you can always revise, but just get started. And some of these tips I'm going to share with you today should be hopefully a good start for you if you don't have a process like this in place. Checklist. Just make a checklist. Trust me, there's way too much to remember when it comes to launching a product and all the different pieces of information you need. So have a checklist that you will use every time you launch something and that you can share with others. If someone else is helping you launch products, then it's all documented and you all can be doing the same steps and it's all right there. And how could someone say they forgot? It's on a checklist. Resources, your timing for your launch and the budget for your launch, are you going to hit your goals? So think about the resources you need to build these different pieces of marketing material or product videos or photography, who's going to do that? How much will it cost? Just have all that in line so you can have a successful launch as well. So product category, is it new or existing category? If it was a new category, I would have to build out that description and find out where is that going to live on my website. So just think, is it something new or existing? If it's existing, makes it a little easier. If not, if it's new, you might have to do a little bit more work building out that category and describing it. Product title, jumping there, consider SEO and how consumers search. So internally, for example, you're going to have a certain way of speaking about your products that the average consumer doesn't speak about your product that way. So for example, someone wants a pet for their kid and they're looking for a fish tank. They're probably going to search fish tank, possibly aquarium, probably the next most popular. Internally, we're a place I used to work, we said enclosure. But we can't have enclosure all over the place in our copy because consumers, that's just not how they speak about those products. It's fish tank or aquarium. You can have it there once in a while, but just think about that when you're titling and writing out these descriptions. Different descriptions you're going to need for different short and long versions for different advertising, promotions, printed material. There's many different examples. You're going to need different descriptions to describe your product. So, if it's a trade publication, you can get a little snippet in there for a new product, even whether it's online or in print, doesn't matter. They're going to have a character limit. So find out, what descriptions you're going to need for all these different examples. And then you can reuse that it's probably already on your website. You can use that for social media. You have the description already written then, the different long and short versions. Maybe you want to just use the shorter one there or have the longer, in the bottom, or if someone probes and engages for more information. Video, email, all of these are going to use that copy. For bullet points, I would recommend sweet spot, like 3 to 6, concise, easy to read and understand. Different platforms may have different, lengths you can use, but I would say plan for the 3 to 6 at least. Other files, you're going to have possibly videos, instructions, different guides, comparison charts, what goes with what. You have a lot of content on your packaging, that you can reuse for a lot of this too. So think about all of that. Product content strategy continued here. Keywords, like I mentioned, when they're launching the product or your product development team, whether that's you or you have a team or you're doing both, I've done both as well. Think about other words consumers are, why was this product launched? Like, what problem is this solving? Kind of get some keywords. Who are the competitors? You have those listed and what the name of the product is so someone can quickly go and find that information. You may want to develop some hashtags for a big major launch. Those can spread like wildfire too. Video, will there be video? And then break it down from there and what types of video. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Rebates, coupons, loyalty programs, promotions. Do you have those set up at your company? Do you utilize those? What are you going to plan for this new product? Is there going to be a promo, a discount? Have those ready, have those built out up front, and then you can always refine them later if you need to. Ads, digital, there's a lot of different sizes, but standard sizes as well, vertical, horizontal, square spots, and skyscrapers and leaderboards. You can kind of have that ready and have those assets, those requests made before your product launches. So when it launches, it's all there ready to go and you'll have a lot of different assets already prepared. And they'll all be, if they're created more at the same time, they'll follow that similar brand look and feel too. Competitive copy to consider. If there's a product similar like yours, how is it being described? What are their features and benefits and how can you improve upon that with your product? Research, obviously your competitors, you want to do that prior to launch, but also ongoing. I mean, it doesn't really stop. There's always new products out there and maybe some of your competitors are making refinements. So what are they up to? Check it out. A lot of this information is available, whether if it is in store, you can show up in a store and see your competitors there. I know I always did store walks, periodically to just see what was going on and check out the landscape, but also digitally, which is easier. but both, I would say both if they both exist. And look at the questions and answers, look at the reviews, definitely for your products, but you could do this competitively as well. A lot of the information is available, especially online, for you to glean insights from, and it doesn't cost anything. It takes time. Other than that, surveys, if you have the opportunity to fill out different surveys, those are great opportunities to get feedback, and I'll talk about those a little bit more as well. So linked products. Do you make coffee machines and now you're launching your own line of actual coffee? So how do you communicate this? If someone's on your site or another site shopping for a coffee machine, make sure they know that you also make coffee. Maybe this coffee is formulated in a way, the granules are just work perfectly with this machine. This is why you want to buy this coffee. This is just an example of, things you want to think about, how your products work together, and make sure you communicate that to people who are seeing either of those products. If your website doesn't work this way, maybe it should. Email marketing, if you have an email marketing campaign that's ongoing and you're able to track with some of those lists what products they own, then those are the people you want to reach out to say, hey, I know you have our coffee machine. Hey, we have this new coffee now that we're making. So think about the linking and how to communicate that to consumers. A+ rich animated content. Do you want this to be created? Every extra asset is, more work and effort, but is worth it for the right product. So, these different banners, these charts, videos can be expensive, photography can be expensive, but what do you want to commit to getting done for this product and have it ready for the launch? And you can repurpose a lot of content in a lot of different ways. And again, it'll be consistent then as well. Partner requirements, review their guidelines, the character limits. So different partners that sell your products are going to have different rules and regulations and limits and what have you. So keep that in your process and your checklist as well. That way you don't have to go back and make changes, or you don't want to be scrambling. It's just nice to have everything buttoned up and ready to go. Image requirements, it could be file name, sizes, backgrounds, colors. Alt text would be great to have up front, describing what's in the photo. You're not keyword stuffing, you're just literally saying what is in the photo. If your eyes were closed, what is in the photo? So that's what that is, and it often gets neglected. And Google likes having the alt text there. So video limits, duration. If it's a longer version, you could still make a short version of that. If you have a 2 minute, 1 minute, 2 minute product promo, maybe you want to get a 30-second one and try it out in different spots, see how it performs. If it's an instructional video, obviously those could be a little bit longer. Those are great to have because I don't know about you, I would rather watch a video of instructions than read on a sheet of paper, because it shows you rather than tells you. So if it's a product that needs instructions, see if you can get a video made, whether it's a person in it or it's a rendering. I think either can work. Specifications. Now, this is where we can, so much information, size, flavor, color, shape, what it fits with, is compatible with. So it's going to be different measurements and all these product details. It could go on. And again, it's going to depend on what your product, what space and industry you're in. But this is going to help people, consumers shop and decide if your product is right for them. So don't sleep on that information. Definitely collect as much as you can. You could also competitively look at what are different specs for some of your competitors and what people are asking. Again, in the Q&A, maybe there's information that's missing that they need to have. And I'll have an example of that later. So it's the end. You've got everything put together. You've got your checklist checked off. You have your assets, your content, your copy. Now, kind of go back to the beginning. What of that information can you get out, let out a little bit early, whether it's, to the end user online, or if it's just to your retailers and third-party partners, get them excited. Obviously it's the right product. You want to do something like this for, something that's exciting and worth a pre-launch, but get it going, right? Like, this is going to launch in summer of, 2022 or whenever it is. And have your, you can just do a seasonal instead of a hard date if you're not sure, and then refine that as it gets closer. Say, oh, now it's going to be, June 1st, or, get it going, get people excited. whether it's pre-sheet or PowerPoint, sell sheet or PowerPoint slide that you can send via email to people who are interested, or something you can post online, different banner ads, if you're doing paid ads, and if you're making video, do some video teasers that are short and sweet and get people excited. So refine the process. Obviously, this is something that's going to change over time, and as different products or services, however you're utilizing this, you're going to make probably changes that, or maybe you partner with a new retailer and now you've got some new things to add to your process and your checklist. So just continue to update that whenever you need to. Naming conventions, I think this gets lost, and it can be one of the biggest headaches when you're trying to find a file or the naming conventions don't make sense and you can't locate what you're looking for. If you've ever started a job and you're taking over a position of someone else and you're trying to look in a drive or a folder and find things, it's not super fun if that person didn't organize them well. So naming conventions and organizing file folders, have a process for that too. You will have to write it down in your checklist or somewhere in your process, because the next person after you or who's going to join your team, they'll need to follow that same process. Otherwise, it's all to waste, and they're going to build their own naming conventions, for example, and organization ways to organize. So is anything missing in your process or checklist? For example, spare parts. So if you have an electronic product and work with your sourcing people or your R&D, whoever it is, if there's a product that's likely maybe to go, but the product is so good, but a certain part could fail and is easy to replace, have that available up front. Have those produced, have those sent to your customer service department. And when that does happen, who knows, year, two, whatever down the road, a consumer says, oh, this part went, and you say, oh, no problem, we have it for you. They will love you for that. And that will help build brand trust and brand loyalty. So think about spare parts. If you have that type of product where you could have something replaced and the consumer doesn't have to go buy new. Anything, no longer relevant can be removed from your process. Check that every once in a while. You're probably going to have more additions than removals, but who knows what worked well, what didn't work well. Survey your internal teams for feedback, sales, sourcing, demand planning, customer service, whoever, customer marketing too, whoever you think would be good people to say, hey, here's what I loved about this product launch, and here's what we could have done better. And if you can't get sales, for example, to fill out your survey, call them on the phone and hand type it for them, get it in the documentation, and take it, still more learnings that you could use going forward. Something you can't use, don't use it. But if you can get one little piece of advice that's helpful, it's going to be worth it. And you can also consider surveying, external partners, customers, retailers, if they're willing to give you feedback. So just remember the surveys. I worked in market research and consumer insights for a while, so that's why I bring this stuff up, and it's great to have. So I got a few slides in the appendix here. This is an example of my checklist. You'll see the dates, the titles, the descriptions that I had for myself that I needed to have. Basically everything you saw, in the slide, and different asset instructions of the different types of products, in package, out of package, the panels. So those graphics are done, and I can utilize those for the product detail pages right on the e-commerce sites. So just getting the file is all, because it's already been created. Do you want to have lifestyle imagery is great and a real need. I mean, don't skip all the photos if you're selling e-commerce, because this will make a break oftentimes someone buying your sales. I know it's a big investment, but it's most often worth it. Do you want a group shot? Is this one product in a line? And then the different other attachments and that you could put online and use in other places as well. So instructions, setup guides, compatibility charts, and then the different promos that were talked about earlier, and types of videos. And people love videos. Content is king and video is king. So think about how long they're going to be, what you need to have, and what's going to help your product sell the most. This is an example. It's a TV, and I just hopped on the very popular e-commerce site that we all know about, and I noticed, question, can this be used on any TV other than a 4K? 79 upvotes, 104 answers. Right after that, do you have to have a 4K TV? So clearly that information should be take this as a learning and put that in your content higher up on the page. Make it super clear so people don't have to go through the effort of asking a question, waiting for a response, not knowing who's responding. Just have it in your product content, being the manufacturer. So you can access these anytime. You know, you can just go online and find out what are people saying in reviews, what are people saying in the Q&A, and utilize that for your launch. And whether it's products of yours, you should definitely be doing that, but also different competitors. What's going on there? Anything you can learn to improve. And these are, again, all things you can use going forward when you launch new products. And always remember survey opportunities, whatever those might be. And don't forget in-store. If they are sold in-store, you can get information there as well. I know I always did store walks periodically throughout the year, and obviously a lot of digital research, which is easier access, but both if you can, if it relates. So I just did a quick search of best A+ content just to see what came up and picked out some of my favorites. So you want the right amount of information, technical information if you need it, like you see the measurements here, really bright, high-res photography, right amount of white space, and then using those different content spots that are predetermined for you. Usually you can kind of, there's a few different layouts, but pick the ones that help sell this product. So I think these are some great examples, nice to look at. This is coffee. Hey, here's coffee again. So if I don't know what coffee I want to buy from this coffee manufacturer, this chart is really helpful. So I can click right from this chart onto the product page, and it tells me, you know, the different type of roast it is, and the size, and what it's compatible with. So just some good examples of best practices, and these comparison charts help people shop. If they're confused or they don't know what they're doing, they might go buy someone else's product, and we don't want that. So here's some others. You know, I just think they're clean, laid out well, nice photography, good explanations, and you can search any of these on your own. Again, this is my information, Pam Marie's digital marketing. I've been in marketing for quite some time. So if you want to connect, happy to do so. And I really thank you for staying with me on this. And I hope there's some helpful information here for you. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Sachin, and today we are going to talk about digital transformation, and specifically, why is it important to start that digital transformation at the network. Before we get into the lot of details, let me introduce myself. I grew up in India, where I finished my education as undergrad in electronics engineering at IIT Banaras Hindu University. And then I moved here to US, and I did my MBA from Chicago Booth. I live in California with my family. As for my experience, I worked at different multinationals, some of which you can see here. And I have about over 2 decades of experience in technology. So let's talk about the different transformations that we have seen over the decades, or maybe even a century. So first thing that we have seen is the mechanical one, the mechanical transformation. You can see that in about 1800, the mechanical transformation started with the mechanization of the industries. Before that, it was all manual, individual bespoke goods being created, but the mechanization of industry started to build more quantity, more production. After almost about 100 years, the electrification happened and the electrical transformation came about, and that kind of spurred the mass production of goods and kind of where the actual industrial revolution kind of took place. Later that century, in later 1900s, we saw the advent of computers, the semiconductor chips. As we all know about the Moore's law, the technology has been doubling every 2 to 3 years, and that has brought us a lot of compute power and computerization of a lot of industries. And finally, we can think of computer era turning into digital and digitization in early 2000, where we saw data now getting converted into transformation data getting converted into information, and machine learning and artificial intelligence age starting to begin and being used in different industries. So that's how I see different transformations across the industries. Now, if we look at digital transformation as a whole, you can find that there are different points of views for digital transformation, depending on who you ask. If you ask somebody in the human resources, it's all about digitizing employee records, how they're working, what kind of amenities the organization is providing, and such. If you ask somebody in the sales or customer segment, then they will talk about CRM, the customer resource management. And a lot of that is not just the tools, but using that information to provide a strategical decision to the company. But it all depends on which context and silo that people are looking at it from, and based on their point of view is something which is very narrow to that particular segment or silo. At the same time, if you think about it at an enterprise level, all of these things need to come together for an enterprise to be digitally transformed. The way I see digital transformation of an enterprise, I kind of look at it as a pyramid. There is at the base, the infrastructure layer. This is your compute, your storage, all the machines, whether the employees that are using it or the other servers that different stores are using or warehouses are using, or all the different kind of machines that go into that. But the core of it is also the network that connects all these machines. And all of these things need to be digitized and transformed to put the right basis for your digital transformation for the enterprise. Once that is set, then the enterprises can start looking at how do they transform their processes. In here, what the enterprises need to look at is processes like enterprise resource planning or supply chain management or customer relationship management. Not just digitizing that, not just using software, but also having information transmitted between these software to make the information flow easily, as well as getting a holistic view of the enterprise across these different silos of information. That is where I see that the transformation of processes come into fruition. And then finally, with that context set, the business can start looking at different strategies, drawing different strategic insights from this, from all the information that is being gathered, the data that is being gathered and converted into the information, and applying that into automating different processes and different functions within our organization to align everybody towards a common goal. Now, we started talking about network, and before we jump into what is the transformation as it pertains to network, let's look at what is network. What is my definition of network? It's definitely not the social network. It's about the network that your company or your enterprise runs on. It consists of, it spans across different parts of an enterprise, be it data center, headquarters of the company, the branch offices, if it is a retailer, then stores and warehouses. And now, increasingly in the last 2 years specifically, we have also seen a lot of remote home offices because everybody has been working from their homes. All of these need to be digitized. All of these need to be transformed into this digital transformation paradigm. And what is that network consist of? It consists of routers, switches, wireless controllers, access points, and firewalls. I will not go into details of what these devices are, but I'm expecting that the person listening to this understands these basic building blocks of networking. But as you can see from this block diagram on the left, there are different kind of networks within the headquarters, within the distribution or data center. And not only they need to work in their own silos, but they also need to talk to each other either via internet or their own dedicated lines. So that entire thing is the network that I'm going to talk about. So what has been the state of art in networking for many, many decades? Well, the traditional networking basically started with network architects creating a network topology, looking at going back to the same diagram that we saw, that how many different areas in the network are going to be, what kind of connectivity needs to be provided. Based on that, they create the topology. Once they have the topology or architecture of the network, they can then decide what are the configuration for each and every box in that network. Once the configuration is written or understood, tested on different devices, then there will be scripts written to deploy this configuration on each individual device. And once that is done, then there come the test and debug phase, where the network architects and network engineers will look at whether the network is working as it is supposed to work, or there are issues and that need to be rectified. And again, the cycle kind of goes on until there is a fully functioning network. But as you can see in this slide, there's a lot of manual stuff involved in that. There's a lot of manual intervention needed in this, and that slows down this process and also increases the fat fingering, the probability of fat fingering, wrong entering of any configuration, which can bring the entire network down. So there's a lot of issues in this traditional networking. And of course, it requires a ton of professionals who understand networking, who can build this kind of network. That kind of spurred the need for intent-based networking. And you can read the Gartner definition here from a blog they published in 2017, which was kind of when this whole idea was solidifying. But the whole idea of intent-based networking is to make this process that I described, the traditional networking, much more efficient and much more resistant to attacks and be more secure. So I define the IBN in these 4 particular ways. If you look at it, first and foremost, on the left side in the orange, we see the abstraction and automation. This is the building block of IBN. This is where you are not really working on box by box, but you are looking at network as a whole. And you're defining different algorithms based on machine learning or different learnings that has happened during the network in the past, and then creating a design which is correct to begin with. And once that is all there, then you go into looking at the security of the network. The main part here is that the philosophy that has changed over the years is that trust no one. And that has not been the philosophy, but now that is the ongoing philosophy, where any traffic coming in or going out of the network is not trusted by default until it proves that it can be trusted. What that requires is that you're able to identify and classify different devices, and also you're protecting the breach to happen inside in your network, or if it is coming from outside. So that the IBN system need to understand all these aspects of security and be able to provide a holistic security paradigm. With that, now I think with that much network already built out, now you need to have 360-degree visibility. You need, as a network administrator, to be able to see what's happening in your network, not by going box by box and trying to see if each box is healthy and has no issues. Rather, you should look at the network as a whole, know what's happening, where it is happening, when it is happening, and that should be at a fingertips of a network administrator. In fact, I would say that systems should go and forewarn before anything happens, based on the algorithms that it has learned, based on the default behavior of the network that the IBN system has learned. It should be able to forewarn if a particular device is about to fail, or if any particular intrusion is about to happen in the network. It should be able to forewarn the network administrator. And then it should not just forewarn, it should also root cause. Where is the problem? Pinpoint it, so that the network administrator can go and take a corrective action without spending a long time to just debug through through the entire network. As you saw in the previous slide, it's a very complicated network, and pinpointing to a particular problem area is very cumbersome as well as time consuming. So with that, I think the kind of the nirvana state or the holy grail of IBN is the self-healing networks. In all these boxes before that, they were all still required manual intervention, even though very less compared to the previous or traditional networking. But here in the IBN network, it should be a self-healing network if the network administrator allows the tool to perform the self-healing procedures. It should be able to understand, not only understand, but also be able to recognize what are the corrective actions that the network can take and take those actions, so that even before a problem occurs, the network should be able to fix this. Now, if you think about what do I get out of this, what's the benefit? So I would talk about it in three terms. I mean, for an enterprise, I think it is very important to look at how their employees are benefiting from it. And from the employee's perspective, it definitely spurs streamlined communication, both internal between employees, but also external communicating to the customer. Also, it provides the employees high-performing infrastructure, the machines, the servers, so that they can perform their jobs well. And it also, especially in this day and age when we are dealing with the pandemic, it provides the flexibility for the employees to either work from home or work from Starbucks, bring their own devices, but having the classification of devices implemented, IBN can not only allow, but provide the right access to the right resources within the organization. And finally, when the employees are able to do their job well, they are satisfied. And that's what any enterprise's goal should be with respect to their employees. The other pillar of the outcomes is customers. Of course, an organization, an enterprise is there to serve their customers. And what that digitization of the network or the IBN network provides to the enterprise is that they can then give their customers better service, timely service, and a lot more value compared to when there is no information available and the network is down and the enterprise is not able to serve their customers. Again, it all boils down to customer satisfaction. And we have seen multiple studies where the companies or enterprises which provide better services to their customers, they are highly satisfied. Another thing that we miss, especially in the B2B context, is the partners. An enterprise is dependent on their partners and to have a very good relationship in order to be able to sell through those partners. And what the network allows in this case is better collaboration, providing information which is relevant to the partner, fencing the information which is not for the partner, but allowing the partner to be able to look at the information in the enterprise so that they can make a correct decision, get the data that they need in order to make the business possible. Definitely that will help the enterprises and the partners extract much more value from their relationship. So to summarize, we talked about a lot of things, but I think what we need to remember first is that it's a journey. It's not one thing. As we saw in the pyramid slide, we have to first look at the infrastructure, digitize that, look at the processes, figure out how they can come together to provide functions to the business layer. And then we are able to make use of all this digitization. So definitely it's a journey. It's not one day you wake up and you have your digital transformation. But what is needed is that get the base of the pyramid right, get the networks, the infrastructure correctly built out so that it can serve the upper layer well. And as in any process, any change that you're trying to make, you need to look at what is the ROI, look at what transformation gives the most ROI for your organization, for your enterprise's goals, and make that transformation first. And always keep the goal in mind. I mean, if either it is satisfaction for the employees, for the customers, or the partners, and prioritize that, and based on that, keep the goal in mind while you're taking the transformation journey. So thank you so much for hearing today. If you have more questions, if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. And thanks for your time today.
Hi everybody, my name is Vivek Akar and I live on East Coast in the US, and I'm a global engineering leader with passion for lean innovation and mentoring startups. Today I'll talk about engagement as a potent tool in building a culture of innovation and high performance. So let's get started. Innovation is all about business leaders listening to creative ideas and then using strategic planning and decision making to implement the new business ideas successfully. And this is engagement. And engagement is a two-way street. It's all about leaders listening and then doing things to enable the implementation and the execution. So leaders are essentially enabling environments so that the team can prosper and innovate. That's profound, right? So let's take a step back and see, why is innovation so important? Well, we all want to solve genuine problems, and we need to put innovation at the heart of business strategy. And obviously we all want to drive growth. But when you do that, when you have those kind of visions, you automatically attract and retain top talent because they see the impact of their work in daily work life. So you are retaining your talent, you are leading in a world where you are solving genuine problems, and you are selling great experiences. So putting innovation at the center is actually a leader's job, and it's what companies do. So that's the context of innovation in our discussion, and hopefully you all agree that we all want to enable it and engage to basically execute on it. All right, so let's see how we can shape an organization and its future to basically enable innovation. Now, anything starts with a vision. So there has to be a vision, there has to be an articulation of it, there has to be ownership of it, and of course there has to be a drive to get that going. So obviously you create, as a leader, create a vision, own it, articulate it, and drive it. And you do it relentlessly. You have to do it. You don't do it once, you don't do it twice. You keep doing it. Now, as you do that, you also have to define values in your organization. You need to determine what the organization should value, and you have to make sure that the vision and the strategy is aligned with the values. This will give you the moral compass and the execution compass to execute on your vision. And then the final shaping piece is, how do you translate your values into competencies? How do you translate it into a daily execution rigor? So you define the strategy, vision, and values, then you deploy them. But you do them through communication, through show and tell, through actually walking the talk, and then you are also mobilizing the team and delegating. So that's your organization and culture definition, basically the shaping of it. Now, before we go any further, we talked about the culture, we talked about the values. So let's look at them. let's look at the behavior and the culture which we all want to emphasize. And we do really want to emphasize the behavior which sets us apart as an organization. So you see a lot of behaviors and culture on this slide, but they are truly what a family or a vibrant high performance team will do. Obviously we all want to do the right thing as a team. We want to feel safe while doing that. We want to continuously learn as we grow, and we want to obviously collaborate. But don't forget to celebrate the successes, because that's what we often do, right? We forget to celebrate the success, and we are always in a chase mode. So obviously celebrating success is very important, and you can't emphasize enough the celebrating success part of it. Then basically, essentially when you collaborate, when you deliver, you are doing it with obviously radical thinking. You want to value diversity of thoughts and ideas. Obviously you want to respect diversity and your colleagues, but you want to have a very much growth mindset. Growth mindset is multifaceted. It allows you to look at your areas of growth in a very constructive way, and it also develops a safe environment for everybody, because you are no longer focused on the negativities, but you are actually focused on the positivities of the opportunity the growth mindset brings, both for innovation as well as individual growth. So as we go forward on this slide, we obviously want to have an attitude of a can-do, like things are possible. We can do and solve problems which are otherwise looking hard. Then you want to socialize right behaviors. Obviously you don't want your brilliant jerks to not know that they are not doing the right things. You want to emphasize craftsmanship. You want to show that passion and hard work which you bring, because you own and you have passion for innovation. And then not only you, but your whole team is very much open to feedback and retrospection, and that brings amazing things back to the team. It's the feedback loop, right? So it's all about engagement, but it's all about owning the right behaviors and helping team own the right behaviors as well. So now as we start to articulate the vision and the values, we are trying to execute a very potent outcome through our execution. We want to execute on our vision and strategy. So now we are shaping the future, and obviously when you shape the future, you are looking at the benefits it bring you, right? So you have conceived the vision, you are looking at a model of innovation, and you want to use engagement to basically bring the execution to the front. Now, as you are shaping the culture of your organization, you are automatically looking at the advantages of shaping the organization, right? You are reducing waste by clarifying the vision and strategy. You are obviously focused on the customer. Customer obsession is obviously very prime and important. You and the organization is showing the can-do attitude, and you are seeing that the employee turnover is reducing, because people are seeing their work is very much relevant and connected to the vision. Now, you are all obviously hopefully also changing the leadership model. Not only you, but your reports and everybody down the line, down the chain, is leading in a similar fashion. And the leading gets easier for everybody because it is now scalable. It is scaling across from top to bottom, from left to right. And it's a more open leadership style because things are very transparent. They are well connected to the vision and strategy. There is no ambiguity in what is important, what is to be emphasized and stressed. It empowers the team. They can say no to the wrong things. They can say yes to the right things. And people are self-regulating. So it's a tremendous scaling advantage which you are getting by shaping the organization for that innovation which you are all looking for. Now, so we have spoken about innovation, we have talked about the values, we have talked about the engagement. Now, engagement is the key here. It's all about engagement. But how do you do it? You do it by multiple things. You educate. You obviously communicate. You communicate the what, you communicate the why. You scale it by education. You show it by actions. You show it by presentations. You show it by talking. And obviously you engage. The implementation, the processes, the feedback, it's all about engagement. You have the vision, you have the strategy, but you are engaging to get the feedback so that you are adjusting. But while you are adjusting, you are also empowering the team to make decisions, to take actions without getting paralyzed by inaction, right? So you are enabling your team, you're supporting your team, and you're training them. You're empowering them to do the right thing, to be engaged, to basically deliver on innovation and high performance. So I feel that these are the four pillars: education, engagement, empowerment, and enablement. These are the four pillars of true engagement in any organization. Now, as we keep talking about scaling the engagement, it's very important to see how true engagement can scale, because in a big organization, in a big global organization, scaling of engagement is very important for success. So the most important thing here you are doing is decentralizing the leadership, and this is very fundamental. And you do it by creating the influencer group within the organization. Who are these people? These are the idea creators in your organization. These are the high influencers in your organization. These are the people managers in your organization. They are talking what you are talking about. They are talking your strategy. They are talking about your vision. They are articulating what you want to articulate throughout the organization. So these are the influencers who are decentralizing and scaling your leadership. And then you're also creating other innovation agents which are reinforcing the strategy. These agents are either from the influencer group or they are being developed. Maybe they are individual contributors, they are tech leaders. They are acting on the communication plan, they are acting on the execution plan. They are showing every day how it is to be done. And that's how you truly scale. You truly scale in that small remote office, which is many thousands of miles away, but it's doing the same innovation and leadership which you want throughout the organization. So this is about engagement. This is about scaling the engagement through decentralizing and empowering leaders at all levels. Now, as we talk about building innovation, we also need to talk about how do you build innovation aptitude in everybody in your organization. And when you do that, you are still doing it by engaging people. You obviously have a clear and aligned vision for the future. Hopefully your leaders understand it. They are able to look beyond the immediate markets, and they are able to spot the threats and opportunities. And then the organization is socializing the right behaviors. We just talked about it, the values, the behaviors, and the promotion of the right behaviors, the reinforcement, the education of the right behaviors. So that basically gives the common language and the common action throughout the organization to do the right thing. And innovation is a team sport, so the aptitude of innovation comes through the practice of the team sport, the practice of innovation. And you collaborate at multiple levels, you co-create and develop innovative frameworks and roadmaps. So the execution, the process, the framework of innovation happens through your product owners, through your managers, through your principal tech leads, through your individual contributors. And they are your true innovation agents, and you are identifying and engaging them. You are empowering them, you're promoting them, and they are the people who are adding weight to the strategy, to the leadership, and to the culture. So as we develop this engagement journey, we also want to make sure that we have not only set the engagement plan, we have not only set up the vision and the process, but we can repeat it. We can consistently do it every day, every month, and every release cycle. So how do you make it stick? And this is very important for every leader. You have to make the culture change as an ongoing journey. It's not a one-time deal. It's not a one presentation. It's not about one all hands. You are embedding the change. You are getting ready for a longest phase of your journey in the organization. There's no end. There's no finite end. It's a journey. And leaders need to understand that. Often leaders will become impatient. They would want quick gratification, instant gratification. It's not. And the people need to realize that that's the case. They need to look at it as an ongoing journey, and therefore avoid too shallow a change. Do a quick change, maybe it's a short change, it's a shallow enough change that it doesn't do anything. It can actually instill fear in the organization. You don't want that. It has to be, the change has to be everywhere. It has to be in every office, in every level, in every leader in your organization. And it cannot be at the surface only. It needs to be articulated, but also executed on a relentless everyday basis. Now, it needs to be a progressing change. You need to progress. You need to build on success. If you did something and it's working, make it even better. If it's not working, change it. Get feedback. Celebrate good news, but also get feedback and change if something needs to be changing. And then obviously you rely on the agents. They are innovation agents throughout the organization, throughout the global organization. Nurture them, encourage them, and be prepared to lose those people who are unwilling to change. I mean, there will be some people who would not be able to undergo the journey, and obviously as leaders we all want to help them, and we will, but in some cases help them move on, and that's not easy, but sometimes that is part of the journey. And then evolve the culture. It's never static. The culture also innovates, it evolves, and it opens up more avenues for more greatness, more high performance. So this is very important. You set the groundwork, your organization executes, you reap the benefits, you make it stick, you make it ongoing, you make it relentless. And as we go forward, I want to remind us that the true purpose of a business is to create and keep customers. And obviously that means that we need to offer them the experiences they want and the innovation they deserve. All right, hopefully you enjoyed it, and take care. Thank you.